Well, hey, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show. Coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
The stage is set.
It is indeed writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
John, you know, my business partner watched yesterday's show and said he would watch Jim Carrey's George Jetson if Danny DeVito did play Spacely.
I have gotten a surprising number of comments from people saying that exact same thing.
Right?
Saying Danny DeVito's got to be Spacely.
He told me that, and I'm like, that's a movie. That's a franchise waiting to happen.
It could be. Speaking of big things happening, Toronto Blue Jays, of course, won Game 7.
Oh, you got to rub it in.
Of the World's of the at least to punch their ticket to go to the World Series. It's now going to be an LA Dodgers Toronto Blue Jays World Series.
Why do we have to talk about this on a movie show?
Well,
Why?
Here's the thing. There's
Got to rub it in.
there's trouble in the Campea household.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
A little bit of trouble in the Campea household.
Who keeps Dune?
Yeah. See, Anne is a LA Dodgers seasons ticket holder. She's big Dodgers fan. And she came out of her office this morning and I said, "Good news, baby. I just ordered my Blue Jay shirts." To which I swear to God, she gave me the coldest dead stare and simply said, last words she said to me before I came into the studio
Call
today,
you friendo?
she said, "We're going to have issues."
Oh, boy.
Oh.
And then just walked out of the room. So, you know, for me, it's a win-win. I live in the LA area, so I cheer for the Dodgers, because they're technically kind of hometown, but
like the adopted, hometown.
yeah. So, but I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays,
Sure.
obviously I'm going to be cheering for them, but whichever, I mean, I never thought the Jays would get to the World Series, so I was hoping the Dodgers would win. But now that so either way, I'm going to have a team that I like win.
Nice.
Good for me. But that's not good enough for Ann. I tried to be diplomatic about it. Said, "Hey, I'm going to be happy if the Dodgers win." No, we're going to have problems. So, yeah. I'm not sure what the status of my marriage is going to be for the next week and a half or so until the World Series is done.
And you got a long trip ahead of you. You got to make that work.
Yep. But we'll reveal that in a future episode. Anyway, guys, this is how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. And then the second part of the show, we're going to take your comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or an issue you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And as I said, the tip link is actually good 7 days a week. So if you're listening to our podcast on our podcast feed, either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching our show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a question. And if you send one in when we're not live, well, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Stranger Things Season 5. It is nigh. It is coming. It's upon us. And as we know, Netflix is going to do something a little bit different. They're going to break it into 3 sections. They're going to have a few episodes in the first chunk, then they're going to have a second chunk, and then they're going to release the finale alone. But you might get to go see the finale in movie theaters if you want. Because according to this report, this is coming to us from Slash Film, apparently Netflix and AMC have made a deal that the day that the finale comes out, it will be available in AMC movie theaters if you want to go see it there. This will be a first for Netflix. Anyway, they write this. According to Puck, the Stranger Things season finale will indeed play in theaters. This runs counter to previous reports indicating that Netflix had rejected a theatrical release for the show's final season. However, the report notes that when series creators Ross and Matt Duffer spoke on the topic, that the interview was conducted weeks ago, much has changed since then, and while we should note that Netflix hasn't directly confirmed the news, all the pieces seem to be sliding into place. We recently reported that Netflix and AMC theaters reached a deal to screen K-pop Demon Hunters over Halloween. AMC, the world's largest movie theater chain, previously declined to show Netflix movies due to disagreements over terms. But the two parties are now working together, and, as the report notes, the Stranger Things finale will indeed play at AMC locations on New Year's Eve, the same day that it hits Netflix. The report also notes that the deals aren't signed, but that it's happening, It's just a matter of getting ink on paper. All right. You know, the one thing about Netflix that has always driven me crazy, and I'm a long-time Netflix subscriber. I think listen, if subscription numbers had numbers, I might be like number 375 or something like that. I was one of the earliest of early adopters. And for Netflix, I love Netflix. I really do. But the two things that always drove me crazy. One, 99% of their original movies absolutely suck ass. They're terrible. Now, their shows are great. Every once in a while, they knock a movie out of the park, but it's about 20 or 30 to 1 is their ratio of terrible movies they make compared to decent original ones. But the other thing is, unlike all the other streamers, they seem to have this real aversion to the movie theaters, right? They want to technify everything about the movie experience. They just want to commodify it. Like, they don't look at movies as art. They look at movies as content.
Analytics.
Yep, analytics and just content. And that's going to be that's going to be one of the things that could be the death of movies. But more and more over the past number of years, Rob, as we have kind of speculated we would see, Netflix has dabbled. They've experimented with things theatrically. And I think this little thing is just like the next evolution of dipping their toe in the water. Now, look, depending on how the first bunch of episodes are, Jonathan and I were talking about this before the show started today. I may very well go to this.
Oh, I would definitely go.
If the season is good, and I don't see any reason to believe that it won't be good, I think I might be going. And if it's a big thing, like the K-pop Demon Hunters experiment they did in theaters was a huge success.
Yeah.
Hence, they're going to put it back in theaters again. If this thing goes well, and I suspect it will, I think we could see more season finales from Netflix coming to theaters. At any rate, I think this is exciting. I'm kind of interested to check it out. Rob, are you surprised to hear about this? This event happening? Are you surprised to see this is doing it? Are you interested in it?
Well, no. First of all, I think this is a great idea. I've never understood why more of this doesn't happen. I mean, they remember when they did the Game of Thrones, they showed a few episodes of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. In Japan, if you were all Star Blazers fans back in the day, they've been showing the new Star Blazers series, which is called Space Battleship Yamato in Japan. They show the episodes of the new series, Rebel 3199, in the theaters before it comes out on home video. So this is just a thing that they do. And this happens in other places around the world. So I've often thought, why is it that America is so limited in its thinking of how they can employ theatrical events? Something like Stranger Things. How long have we been hearing about, well, they're all movies. Every episode this season and the 5th season's a film. I mean, I think everybody would go, even if you only made it a weekend. I think people would go see Stranger Things in the theater because people like events. They like to go see things. I mean, this isn't going to be, I would imagine it's the last episode's supposed to drop on New Year's Eve. So is this theatrical event going to be a day before that, or is it going to be actually
I think
on
the same day.
Same day. So it's
yeah.
New Year's Eve. I mean, before you go to your New Year's Eve party, go see the Stranger Things finale.
And it's the finale.
It's a finale. It's an event. And the thing is, what I don't understand is, with something like this, John, it's free money. It's found money. Even if they only made $100,000, that's $100,000 they didn't have yesterday. And it's so bizarre to me that they have such an aversion. I mean, look at what they made off K-pop Demon Hunters, the sing-along. That was just one. They decided to do something within a couple of weeks, and then a couple of weeks later, they made millions of dollars.
And now they're repeating it.
And they're doing it again. And it's like, why do you have an aversion to some extra pocket change? I don't know. I mean, I think it's a great idea. Plus, you know what? It's fun for us as viewers to go to actually go somewhere, go to a theater with a bunch of people that are as hyped as you are. You got that energy. Everyone's got their popcorn. They're all excited. They're like Stranger Things fans from the last decade. Woohoo! We're all here together. It's just what movie going's all about. It's the communal experience to see Vecna get Vecna's ass kicked again. And maybe the upside down goes right side up, finally. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know.
Justice for Barb.
That's right.
Justice for Barb. Yeah, and again, it's like, it comes down to like the main thing too. Like if we're talking about expanding not just we're not just talking about Stranger Things here, but again, the Stranger Things example here is a way of them just doing more experimentation. Netflix is also aware of the truism that is, it's no longer an opinion, it's data, it's statistical fact.
Yeah.
Rob and I have talked about this a lot, that when you do have theatrical runs of things, their streaming impact becomes bigger. Like I say, like, it's not theatrical or streaming. It's, hey, if you really want your streaming to do well, do theatrical first because it'll be better for your streaming. It's a both and, it's not an either or. And I think slowly, it may take another 5 years, but I think slowly, I think we're seeing Netflix coming to this realization.
I mean, since we're talking about this, can I, Catherine Bigelow's new movie, House Full of Dynamite.
House Full of Dynamite, yep.
Is playing in theaters, but no theaters near me. Like,
really?
I wanted to go see it. I mean, I don't know if it's in an AMC around here. I didn't really look, but I'm like, I'd really like to see that movie in a theater. It drops next week on Netflix, but I'd like to go see it. And like, if they're going to do a theatrical release, like with the third Knives Out movie, you can't just throw it in theaters. You got to do what you got to do. You got to promote that it's there. You've got to give it some marketing. You can't just expect people to know. And
well, now with Netflix too, you got to remember when you're talking about Warner Brothers, Universal, Disney, Lionsgate, you're talking about companies that have decades and decades and decades and decades and decades of experience and a well-oiled process of marketing their films. They understand the process.
Right.
This is totally new stuff for Netflix. Netflix doesn't know the first thing about marketing a movie. Hell, they can't even market their own stuff on their own
things just drop.
streaming service. Things just drop. We're like, what? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
But we need to cut Netflix some slack in the sense that they don't have half a century of experience of knowing to take a movie, how to market it, how to get it out there. So that's going to be a learning curve.
Their headquarters, though, it's on Sunset Boulevard. There's a few people they could call. Hey, can I have lunch with you and tell us how to market a movie?
But it's not marketing a movie is not easy.
No, I know.
Right?
It's not. But you'd think that they would. I mean,
I think we need to cut them a little slack on that.
They've had years to figure it out.
Listen, man, we're talking about studio. We're used to seeing studios do it that have been doing it for a century, right? So, I mean, I'm willing to give Netflix a little bit of leeway on this as they have a bit of a runway of a learning curve to.
I wonder if
figure it
the
out.
Duffer Brothers just said that in an interview to pressure Netflix to do this. Like they just conjured it up. Said, yeah, we're going to do a theatrical event. Netflix is like, we are?
Yeah, they're like, an AMC agreed.
You go, Duffer Brothers.
There we go.
I looked at my local Harkins Theater last week, and you know what they were doing? They were showing the 25th anniversary screening of Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Oh,
In a
my
theater.
God.
AMC was too.
Yeah, and I'm like, they should have promoted the hell out of that. Kids today need to see Battle Royale.
To scare them straight.
Oh, man.
By the way, I was kind of shocked when we were doing our movie meetup and we did the one with the long walk.
Right.
And I remember talking to the audience afterwards and saying, when I first saw
That was
it,
in Vegas.
one of the was in Vegas.
I was there.
And I said,
Well, one of them.
I kind of expected it to be, because that movie was, first of all, wonderful. I loved it. And it was very different from what I thought it was going to be, because I said to the audience, it looked like it was going to be a Hunger Games mixed with Battle Royale. I was shocked to find out how many people there had never seen or heard of Battle Royale. Because I think just the circles that we walk in, of course we know Battle Royale, but a lot of people don't. Guys, if you've never seen Battle Royale, watch Battle Royale. It is the first of its subgenre and remains today as the best of the subgenre.
Oh, my God. And you'll find out where Quentin Tarantino got Gogo Yubari from in Kill
Right.
Bill.
Yes.
And you'll find out why Hunger Games exists. And you'll find out, what?
I mean, and Battle Royale has lost none of its punch.
No, it's so good.
And
Today is a wonderful day for killing.
Oh, man.
Crap.
I have a crush on him.
Anyway, sorry, we're getting way off topic. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? They're saying Stranger Things finale is going to be theatrical. Well, this is going to be tough for some people because it is on New Year's Eve. But I listen, if it's early enough, I'm going to go. Are you guys interested in that? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? The Fast and the Furious franchise. very rarely has there ever been a roller coaster for me of a franchise like Fast and Furious. I am one of the people that did not like the first few installments. I was really angry at the first one because it was just a blatant, absolutely bold-faced ripoff of the Keanu Reeves film Point Break.
Directed by Catherine Bigelow.
Directed by Catherine Bigelow. Amazing film, but it is a plot point by plot point. Like, you could almost put the two movies and overlap them on a screen, and they're just going to play out the same way. And that's always bothered me. And I wasn't big on 2, and I wasn't big on 3. So I never really liked the franchise. But then something weird happened, like somewhere around 4. I remember I went to go see number 4 and expecting to hate it. But I came out and went, you know what? That wasn't half bad. That wasn't half bad. And then 5 blew
The Citizen
doors off.
Kane of the Fast
Citizen
and Furious
Kane
franchise.
of car race
But you
movies.
really need to see The Drift.
Oh, dude, that's always
Just
very
call it
good.
The Drift.
I'm good.
So
But I mean,
good.
5, 6,
good.
7, I loved. I even really liked 8. I thought 8 was the weakest of 4 through 8, but I still really liked 8. So, started low, then the roller coaster went up. Woo, but then the drop came with 9 and 10. Horrible.
Well,
Right?
unwatchable.
Borderline unwatchable.
Yeah.
So
Painful to watch.
they've been promising us Fast 11 or Fast 10 Part 2. One of the dumbest things I've ever heard of. Fast 10 Part 2. Yeah, Fast 11. Anyway. So they've been talking about giving us Fast 11, but there has been drama. But maybe, according to an executive at Universal, there may finally be some light at the end of the tunnel. The folks over at Coming Soon write this. According to the latest update from the Wall Street Journal, Fast 11 doesn't have an approved script yet, while most of the cast don't have deals to star in the film yet.
Great start.
This largely seems because of the budget concerns, as the article states that Universal executives have told the filmmakers that they will not make another sequel unless it costs around $200 million. Of course, I think the last one cost about $350 or something like that. Anyway, that way it could earn a healthy profit even if it grosses less than Fast 10. Studios typically look for a film to gross 3 times its budget to earn a targeted return on investment. Well, things might be looking up. While there's been no official news regarding if Fast Furious 11 is moving forward at this time, Vin Diesel posted some photos and a video of himself and Michael Moses, the chief marketing officer for Universal Pictures, on Instagram. One of the photos sees Diesel wearing a top that says Fast X Part 2 Los Angeles Production 2025, while other pictures sitting in a screening room. And there you can see the picture of Vin Diesel and the CMO of Universal Studios. I'm not quite sure which one is which. But apparently in this
I'm not
collection...
even sure what they're doing.
I wonder if his bag will go viral.
Yeah, that is definitely going to go viral. So, this is the thing. In a separate post, Diesel also shared a picture of himself and Tyrese Gibson. Nobody really cares about that.
Cold. Cold-blooded.
And it also says that Moses, the CMO, made the comment, "We've got it figured out." We've got it figured out. Now, we still have to get...
With that
we've
bag,
got
I don't doubt
solved.
it.
Yeah. Moses, the CMO of Universal, not Vin Diesel, not Tyrese Gibson, not somebody else involved with the movie, the chief marketing officer of Universal, who is not the guy that greenlights movies. So that's interesting. But anyway, he said, we've got it solved. Now we just got to make it happen. That's good to say. But Rob, recently you guys know, I've been openly questioning whether this movie's actually even going to happen now, right? Like 9 and 10 were disasters. Not necessarily financial disasters, although 10 hit them. 10 hit them. But I mean, they were absolutely terrible movies. The return had been dropping. Fewer people were starting to go to the movies now. The costs had spiraled way out of control. And this movie Fast 11 was already supposed to be in theaters this year. And they don't even have a script right now. They haven't even got a cast right now.
Not so fast as we were led to believe.
Not as fast or furious.
Well, maybe they're
they might have
furious.
you believe. Yeah, a lot of fury. So I have started to honestly, openly wonder if this is even going to happen. Because, look, Father Time is undefeated. Vin's getting older, as all people do. And I think each year that passes, I think interest in the Fast and Furious franchise is waning. Don't get me wrong. As much as I hated 9 and 10, I will still be there opening day for Fast 11. I absolutely will. But, I mean, the clock is ticking. It's running out. Then that Wall Street Journal report came out. It sounded terrible. But Rob, having not just somebody from the movie, an executive of the studio come out and say, I think we got it solved. Like, I think we found what our basic mechanic is going to be. No pun intended. So, I don't know, Rob, you hear this. Does this give you hope that this movie's actually going to happen? And if so, are people going to be there to see it? What do you think?
Look, I love this franchise. Loved is the key word
Loved,
there.
past tense. Yeah.
And again, I'm a huge fan of The Drift, not just because Nikki Griffin is in it. By the way, they have to bring her character back in the final film. But that's just me. It's frustrating, John, because this is an absurd franchise. As somebody who loves it,
absolutely, it's absurd.
It's absurd. It's one of the most absurd.
And we wouldn't want it any other way.
No, but the thing is, the absurdity should have stayed on the level of Fast 5.
Yeah,
which
I
was
agree.
amazing. But the issue is, when you make movies that are successful, everybody gets paid more and more and more. That's just how it works. So the budget of this film is probably close to being untenable. Now that they've said, if you bring it down to just a measly $200 million, then maybe we'll make it. It's absurd to think that that's where it is. But you know what? I think the world needs this movie. I think the world needs Fast 11. They need to bring it back down to earth. They need to set it. One of the great things I did like the first Fast and Furious movie, because what I really liked about it was it dealt with these various subcultures in LA. LA, for those of you who don't live here, you've got Koreatown, you've got all the different, you've got Little Saigon, you've got things, the cities broken into these. And I thought the movie did a really good job of showing these really cool, there's people that love cars, there's people that love motorcycles. And it really was a celebration of LA culture in a way. And that was part of the DNA of the film. And then, of course, they moved it out of LA. The second movie goes to Florida. But that's fine, too, because then you had... And I think those subcultures are as much a part of the movies, at least in the beginning. And I thought the idea, they talked about bringing it back to LA and setting it back on the streets of LA and celebrating the vibrant cultures of Los Angeles. That, to me, is a great idea. I think it's a great idea, and it doesn't have to be expensive. And I think to myself, why don't they do that? I mean, the reason that 9 and 10 are so ridiculous is they become these globe-trotting, like you're watching giant balls roll down streets in Rome and all this crazy. Like, what is that? I mean, you're watching the John Cena going. He's going down like on some rail. What is it called when you're riding those things down this corridors of another city? Like, what is this?
That's called awesome, Rob.
It is not
It's
awesome.
called awesome.
It is not awesome. I want to see hot Asian girls fixing cars, knowing how to fix big engines on the streets of LA while Bad Bunny's music is pounding in the soundtrack, and you have a celebration of all the great culture in Los Angeles and watching cars going way too fast down the streets of downtown LA across that new bridge.
It is
That's
kind
all
of
I want.
stunning. But, I mean, an argument can be made because, look, I am with you philosophically. When you look at the first Fast and Furious movie, as much as a ripoff of Point Break, it's
That was at the beach.
a bunch of
This was inland.
what used to be called back in the day grease monkeys, people
Yeah.
fixing cars, who also on the side would pull some little, like, I correct me if I'm wrong, weren't they heisting DVD players?
Yes.
DVD
From
players,
trucks.
right? So
In a very complicated fashion.
you've gone from the first movie, which is a celebration of street culture,
Yeah.
car culture, and a little bit of a minor mystery with a heist element to it as well. They have now come to the point where, for no reason, Dom is considered like James Bond would be his bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Dom is the most dominant, feared, international man of intrigue and mystery in the world. And they are taking cars now into outer space.
Literally. And not a good car,
No.
Fiero.
And they're fighting submarines in the Arctic Cap. And I agree that it would feel nice if they brought it back a little bit. Rob, couldn't an argument be made is that there is no coming back at this point? Like at this point, they've made it so utterly ridiculous.
Just say all that was a dream.
It was all a dream.
No, you know what they do? Torn from the headlines.
Oh.
Los Angeles is now besieged by thousands of ICE troops that have come, and you have all the different ethnicities who've had people incarcerated, all the parents, grandparents, people that immigrated here 50 years ago. And you know what? You have families from all of these different disparate ethnic minorities or ethnic
lots
groups.
Of families.
So all the families of LA led, I mean, come on, this would be awesome. And you have all the cars and all the motorcycles and every single gang that still exists teaming up.
And they all drag race to see who wins.
No. You have this ultimate heist where
Winner take
people have
all.
to rip off from all the different ice and dude, it writes itself. And you can you imagine at the end you have this massive, like, going right down the middle of Los Angeles. You have like hundreds of cars that represent all the ethnicities of all, and then you have people from all over the world that have snuck over the border with their cars and their motorcycles and their ultralight
Fast
jets.
and Furious meets Ready Player One.
Dude, and they all
I'm
assemble to make one mecha.
Yes,
that's like
I'm telling. No, it's got to be
thing.
cars and motorcycles, and we have a Blue Thunder ice helicopter chase, a Black Hawk helicopter chase going down underneath the bridges, like in Blue
Welcome
Thunder.
to
They have
elementary
real
school,
helicopters.
everybody.
And it's liberating all the families. I mean, come on, I'm in. I could write this
That
tomorrow.
seems more expensive than $200 million.
Yeah, that might be blowing the budget out of proportion a little bit at that point. That might not get through the door.
Can you imagine the soundtrack though? You could get You could have the most incredible world soundtrack.
Just do Bad
ever.
Bunny do the whole soundtrack and you're good.
It'd be awesome.
By the way, side note, just because you mentioned it,
Does Cheech and Chong make a cameo for no reason? It'd be great.
I don't know if you saw this,
Well, they live in LA.
but the Canadian police, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, they did this thing. I loved it. I don't know if some of you saw this. They put on these flak vests,
Flacco.
and they look just like ice vests, but they put an N at the front and it says nice. And they took pictures of them in the different ethnic communities around Toronto, whatever, playing basketball with everybody and stuff like that. And it's like the fundamental difference between Canadian culture and American culture. Right,
I mean,
there.
it would be like Red Dawn, except the American troops are the Russians. And Red Dawn meets the Fast and the Furious, so you've got a post-apocalyptic war in the streets of LA.
Nice.
And you could get Chuck Norris to be in it too.
But again, back to the actual topic. Do you think at this point, I mean, this is an interesting update for you, do you think this movie's going to happen?
You know what? At the end of the day, I do. Only because you have 10 films, 11 if you include Hobbs and Shaw. So this would actually be the 12th Fast and the Furious movie. It's a viable franchise that overall has done quite well for the studio. And if they do come up with a measly $200 million budgeted film that has a great script, that is a lot of fun, that kind of brings it back to earth, so to speak. And you have, I mean, look, go back to practical stunts. No more CG. That's what people want. And utilize the new camera technologies that they have. I mean, you could do something kick-ass.
By the way, one of our viewers has cracked the code. They've cracked the code. I mean, he simply said, I'll elaborate on it. But Bixie says, we need time travel too. Here it is. Remember I said, have they gone too far gone? Here's what it is. In Fast 11, they run into a new, bigger, most dangerous, most deadly villain yet. And you find out that he was a good kid once, but his dad had promised him a DVD player for Christmas, and he never got it, and that set him on a path of villainy. Now, Dom and the family must travel back in time to the original Fast and Furious, and without letting themselves see themselves, prevent the DVD heist so that the future can be saved.
And
there it is.
It's a universal.
You're welcome, Universal.
It's a Universal movie, so like with Ready Player One, they can use the DeLorean.
They can do it at 88
and they'll
or
call
90.
it Fast 11 Endgame. There you go.
And actually, it's the 13th film, Rob, because Tokyo Drift is not. I actually forgot that's where Too Fast, Too whatever came from. That
No,
joke.
that
It's
was the second
Too
one.
Fast, Too Furious. But Tokyo Drift was actually the third one.
Yeah, and you know who was introduced in Tokyo Drift?
Who?
Sun Kang,
Dang.
Han Solo,
All
the
right,
greatest character known to
we've
man.
gone way too long
Yeah,
on
we've
this
given this
issue
way
and
too
topic.
much.
We must move on. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? A Universal executive saying, I think we've got it worked out. Like, I think we've got it here. What does that mean exactly? He's not the executive that greenlights movies. He's the one that markets them. But still, do you think this movie's going to happen here? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
Should happen.
All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? You know, one of the biggest issues in the film world right now is, of course, we've talked a lot about it, is the fact that Hollywood itself, LA, California, Hollywood, has lost incredible amounts of production. Very few things, or at least a lot less things today, shoot in California and in LA and other American cities as well. And what can be done? Well, in a new article that came out today in Variety that you can see here, California has just made a major move. They've just approved $342 million in grants to 52 films, including Jumanji, Heat 2, and a bid to jumpstart big budget production. This is what it says. California has set aside $342 million in tax credits in a bid to jumpstart production of big budget films, including a record $43.9 million for the next installment of the Jumanji franchise. The state is also committing $37.2 million for Heat 2 from Michael Mann, as well as $38.4 million for the next film from the Daniels, the Oscar-winning team behind Everything Everywhere All at Once. The Daniels film from Universal was already approved for $20.8 million in March, but thanks to the expansion of the state's incentive program this summer, now finds itself the recipient of nearly $18 million windfall. All right. This is significant because for the world to have a thriving movie industry, I think Hollywood needs to have a thriving movie industry. You just do. And, you know, Rob, we have lamented for a long time. Look, the studies have come out. I remember on the show, we actually read the study itself that showed every $1 that a local government, whether it's Atlanta, Hollywood, London, whatever, for every $1 that a local government will dedicate to film production and incentives, they make $3 back. For every $1 you spend, $3 gets injected into the local economy. If this were Wall Street and, oh, there's a stock, for every $1 you invest, you get $3 back. I mean, that would be a no-brainer, right? But it's still, listen, whenever you're talking about, it's true with sports when they want to use public funds to build a new stadium. It's true with anything. Whenever you're talking about public money being used to finance some rich multi-billion-dollar industry, understandably, that raises some eyebrows. But again, the data has been collected. The studies have been done. There's a reason why these foreign countries are like, yeah, we'll take a piece of that pie. Absolutely. And so then a lot of people like us have been lamenting, like, why isn't California? Why isn't New York? Why isn't Georgia moving more on this? But it seems like California has made a major step in that direction. And in an attempt to kind of really revitalize things and to bring productions like Heat 2 and Jumanji, and if it can kickstart other big budget projects to come back into town. Listen, they may be putting 40-something million into Jumanji. If they're going to spend $250 million making this movie, and probably about 80% of that will be spent in California, and the jobs that it creates and the tax revenue that will then create and all that kind of stuff, it just seems like a no-brainer. So look, I applaud them for this. I do. But I do wonder why it's taken this long to be taking steps like this. I don't know the inner workings of it, but this seems like a good positive step in the right direction for film production at any rate. Rob, you read this. You saw the new money that's going to be put in the tax credits for this. Will it work? Will it attract more production back here? Or are we already past the point of no return? What do you think?
Well, I think this is a good start. But the problem that needs to be surmounted is that California is a state that, hey, you can pass whatever you want. You can allocate as much money as you want. The problem is that everybody has their hands out. And by the time you have an initiative, it's like, hey, let's bring back production. Well, you also have to make sure that everybody's not, asking for top dollar every step of the way. That means your permit fees should not be exorbitantly high.
Yeah, they got to fix that.
It means union fees have to be mindful. If you want to bring production back, it's not just about giving tax incentives. You have to make it much easier and much more attractive to make movies on every level here. And the problem is, everybody took California production for granted, and everybody had their hands out. The studios were willing to pay. Like, let's grease the palms if we want to shoot on these streets, and you have to have 10 police officers to do this. So the costs were not just, we have to make sure that those costs do not stay exorbitantly high, because Los Angeles as a city is dying. You drive around Los Angeles, half the apartments are empty, half the restaurants are empty, many of the bars and nightclubs and things that people
it
have
is
closed.
still the fourth largest economy in the world.
Well,
California is still the fourth largest.
California is, but if you look at Los Angeles as a city, all you have to do is do a cursory glance, drive up and down Melrose, drive through Hollywood, drive through any places, Santa Monica, the 3rd Street Promenade. All these places that people used to traffic to, go out are dying. And you have to make sure that production incentives are great, but you also have to make sure that the city and state make it attractive.
Yeah, not prohibitive.
Not prohibitive. And that's something that we'll see. I hope it happens.
I still remember when I was making my little nothing film, The Anniversary, and we wanted to shoot this scene, really simple scene, of this guy and girl talking in a park. That's it. We didn't want to bring in production trucks.
Nope.
We just want to send a guy with a light, a guy with a boom microphone, somebody with a camera, and film our 2 actors. Wanted to do everything right. So I got a hold of the city film department.
Sure.
Dude, the cost of what I was going to have to pay to be allowed to film for an hour in that, I didn't want to shut the park down. Hey, we're just going to be over here in this corner of the park. We want to shoot this little scene. Take about an hour. Was going to cost more than what I was going to have to pay 2 actors, a sound guy, a light guy, a camera guy, and a production assistant, all combined to be there to shoot it. It was literally going to double my costs for the day. And I just had to go, well, then we can't do it.
And that's what really killed production here.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their hands out. And I understand that.
Which is kind of understandable. If you go back to like the 90s, it's understandable when everybody wanted to shoot here, supply and demand.
Of course.
Okay, yeah, you want to shoot on this street? Great. Well, the price is going to be this because this is where everyone wants to shoot. But they got to wake up to the fact that not everybody is shooting here now. They have to adjust their pricing accordingly.
They also need to do, you made a great point, they need to inspire independent production here.
100%.
Giving big studios money, okay, great. There's also all these empty soundstage facilities that have been built here in anticipation of this. But they also have to make it attractive for indie filmmakers below a certain budget. If you want to go shoot in a park, that you don't have to pay exorbitant fees. And they need to do that, and not just $500,000 or less productions.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? California's made a pretty major move here to attract in a number of big productions. Hopefully it will spiral into more big productions because they've got to try to stem this thing. I think it's a good move, but is it a good start? Or is it more than just that? I don't know. However you guys see it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, you know what we haven't done in a bit? Played some overreaction.
Uh-oh.
So, guys, we're going to play a little round of overreaction. The way overreaction works is really simple. We ask you guys to give us your hot takes, and then Rob and I simply adjudicate whether we think your hot take is an overreaction or not. We put out a call for you guys to submit some scenarios, and you did. Jonathan's got a bunch pulled out.
Yep.
So, Jonathan, what do we got?
All right. First up, Rob Felix G says Jared Leto won't lead another big budget movie for at least 5 years. Is this an overreaction?
No, but he is Skeletor in Masters of the Universe. Yeah. So we're going to see Jared Leto. He's going to be covered under makeup, I understand. But, everybody's one step away from a great project. And I think a lot of people made the point that Tron Ares did not fail because of Jared Leto. In a way, it exists because of Jared Leto.
Yeah.
And I think, though, like, you're only as good as your last project. And I do think with all the bad press that Jared Leto has been getting, that maybe that's true. But look, he is an Academy Award-winning actor. And people forget, you know, he made an incredible science fiction movie called Mr. Nobody that a lot of people haven't seen, which
Oh,
I
it's
don't
great.
understand. He starred in movies like Prefontaine. He was in Fight Club.
Yeah.
And, you know, not just his Academy Award-winning performance, what was that, Dallas Buyers Club?
That's where he won his
You know,
Academy
and,
Award. Yeah.
and it's like he is a very gifted performer. So I would say it's an overreaction to say we're not going to see him in 5 years, because we are going to see him at least in Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, look, Jared Leto I'm sorry to everybody, and if you don't like him, that's fine. Jared Leto's a great actor.
Yeah.
Sorry, he just is. And you know what, with Tron, well, clearly the best things about Tron were the visual effects and the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack, which are incredible. Outside of that, indubitably, the best thing about that movie is Jared Leto's performance.
He was good.
He carries the film. He really does. And he's quite good in it. But saying that he won't lead another big budget movie for at least 5 years, I don't think that's an overreaction. I think where Jared Leto should be focused on is doing dramatic films, because that's where his strength, that's where he won his Academy Award. And listen, he could win another.
Yeah.
But I don't think the way the audience is, I don't think they're running out to go see him do the popcorn films. Now, like, with Masters of the Universe, he's not even the lead. Like, he's not the lead in that and all that kind of stuff. And that one's already happening. But yeah, I don't think he can lead a big tentpole franchise film, but I think he can still do extremely well as a dramatic actor. But I just think so therefore I don't think it's an overreaction to say he won't do one for at least another 5 years.
But, you know, I think, like, with things like Morbius and Tron, he was a prime mover in getting those movies made.
Yes, he was.
And I think that, like, with Morbius, I didn't think he was bad in it. I thought the movie, I mean, they wouldn't even, they made the blood look black. They made a movie and they're like, well, we have to have this PG or whatever. We can't make an R-rated vampire. I think that there was a lot of, we didn't really think this through when we made the film. I mean, I don't think Jared Leto did not phone in his performance in Morbius.
Listen, I hate that movie.
I do too.
But his performance was not one of the problems.
No, the problem was the studio's like, we don't really know what we're doing. And we're making a vampire movie, but it's for kids, or it's Spider-Man. What? I mean, they should have gone hard R with that film and been true. So we might disagree. And I'll tell you something. On the new Last Designing Hollywood, Donald Moat, who I interviewed, who has worked with Jared Leto a number of times, has nothing but great things to say about him, and talks about what he's done for the actual productions that Donald has worked on. So I thought that was pretty insightful, because you don't get that from people in the industry very much. So that was a great insight.
All right.
By the way, it's a good interview, even though it's about Tron Ares. Watch it.
What's next?
All right, John. Is this an overreaction? Just some Mexican with a mustache says Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars combined won't make as much in the box office as Avengers Endgame alone.
Well, you know what? Listen, like, you might hear that and think that's a ridiculous thing to say. But don't forget, Avengers Endgame made nearly $3 billion. Okay? So it's not that ridiculous. It's still an overreaction. Because you're just talking about these two movies having to average out $1.45 billion each. I don't think that's out of touch at all for both of them. And by the way, one could make 1.3 and the other could make 1.7 or 1.8. So while it's not a preposterous thing to say, I will still say, do you really think Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars won't average 1.45 billion? I got to call it an overreaction. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, me too. I'm going to tell you something, John. I've made a lifestyle choice, and I'm going to announce it here on this show right now.
Oh, boy.
No, my lifestyle choice is I've decided that I'm going to be excited about Avengers Doomsday.
Really?
I've decided.
That's a big choice.
It's a big choice.
A big decision.
It's a big choice. I've decided I've thoroughly enjoyed all 4 Avengers movies. To bring back the Fox X-Men characters who I like.
Yeah.
To bring back all the, Robert Downey Jr. Yes, it is a gimmick. Do we know who the Avengers are? We don't. Do I have any faith that this movie's going to work at all? I don't. But you know what I've decided? That I can at least look forward to it. I can spend the next year and a half of my life, or whatever, 15 months left until we're going to get it in December of 2026. I'm going to call, what do you call it, an audible? I'm going to decide in my life that I'm going to look forward to it. The same way I'm looking forward to the Na'vi showing up in Mordor and screaming, "Your God has no dominion here." I am excited, and I lead my life in a state of excitement, and it's a better way than everything else happening in the world. So I've decided that, yes, this movie is going to make a lot of money, which means, John, even though I think it is an overreaction, or it's correct that it might take 2 Avengers movies to make one Endgame, I'm going to say that this movie is going to be the most successful Avengers movie ever. It's going to be amazing, and I can't wait to see it.
All right, what's next?
What is next? We got Rob. Is this an overreaction when Arian says, I probably said that wrong, but Man of Tomorrow will gross less than $500 million if all of the 2026 DC projects disappoint?
I think that's an overreaction. I mean, have any of the DC projects disappointed yet?
No, but if they do, that's what he's saying is if they do.
Okay. I mean, if they do, yeah, I guess so. I guess it's not an overreaction, but I don't even know that would require a bunch of other things happening first. So Lanterns has to disappoint. Supergirl has to disappoint, and I don't think those are going to happen. So I think it's an overreaction because you're saying that one, these other things have to disappoint, and then something else. Because why would Man of Tomorrow gross less? What would that have if other DC projects don't do as well? That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to affect Man of Tomorrow's box office, because Man of Tomorrow could still be a great film.
Yeah. But I'm going to say this is not an overreaction. I listen, the DCU, while off to an amazing start, the Peacemaker rating numbers were through the roof. Superman did way better than it should have.
And it still is.
And it's still breaking barriers and all that kind of stuff. But the DCU is still in a very early and delicate phase. It off to the right start, but according to your scenario, if Supergirl, Lanterns, maybe Clayface are all bad and people dislike it, yeah, I'll tell you right now, Man of Tomorrow will make under $500 million. Momentum is a real thing in this industry. We saw it normally negatively. We saw it positively with early MCU. We saw that negative momentum is a real thing with the DCEU. We've seen it over and over again. And now, I agree with Rob, though. There's no reason to expect. I mean, Peacemaker knocked it out of the park. Finale notwithstanding. I wasn't a fan of the finale. But still, Peacemaker knocked it out of the park. Superman knocked it out of the park. James Gunn has done nothing but knock it out of the park in just about everything he's ever done. But if Supergirl disappoints, and if Lanterns is a big letdown, and if Clayface comes out prior to Man of Steel or Man of Tomorrow and really sucks, yeah, I do think it will definitely have an impact on Man of Tomorrow, and I do think it'll make under $500 million. But I don't think this scenario is going to happen. But if it does, yeah, so I don't think it's an overreaction. All right. What's next?
John, is this an overreaction? Trevor West official says, based solely on Denny's directing, the next James Bond movie will be in the conversation for Best Picture.
Absolutely not an overreaction. I'll go on record right now. I fully expect that. Listen, Hollywood loves James Bond. They love it. I think Hollywood would be I think the Academy would be looking for an opportunity. If they could just make one that's good enough to deserve it, I think the Academy would desperately be looking for a way to say, hey, at this year's Academy Awards, in the running is the new James Bond film. You're talking about Denis Villeneuve, who is maybe the best director working today, at least in the top 2 with him and Christopher Nolan. Best directors working the business today. I fully expect that that'll happen. Now, it may not, of course, but to say that you're thinking that's going to happen, I'm going to say that's not an overreaction. Rob?
Oh, I'm going to say it's an overreaction.
Really? You don't believe in Denis Villeneuve?
No, I believe in Denis Villeneuve, but I don't believe in the James Bond franchise ever getting nominated for Best Picture, ever. You could make the greatest James Bond movie in the world and it won't get the same way. And this is going to go with me on this. The same way that a Friday the 13th movie directed by Denis Villeneuve will never get nominated for Best Picture.
Oh my God.
It's simply because of the fact that this would be the 26th James Bond movie. The paradigm of James Bond itself does not lend itself to the subject matter that would traditionally win Best Picture. Because at the end of the day, you're still dealing with a super spy going after villains. And unless you're looking at something along the
Lord
lines
of the
of...
Rings was about a hobbit taking a magic ring to a
you
demonic
could
volcano.
look at it that way, or you could look at it as a story about the strength of the human spirit and friendship and all
you
the
can
things.
do that to James Bond too.
I just don't think that I could see a scenario in any way, shape, or form where a James Bond movie. Hey, look, I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love it, but I just don't see. Look, if anything, I would have expected. Did Blade Runner 2049 get nominated for Best Picture?
I can't remember.
I would have given that a Best Picture nomination.
It was
I would
great.
have given a Best Picture nomination, hell, to Arrival. I would have given a Best Picture nomination to
Prisoners.
To Prisoners.
Yeah.
100%. Like, and Sicario, we're celebrating its 10th anniversary. Incredible movie.
Well, he got Best Picture nominations for his 2 Dune films.
Yeah, I mean, look, Dune 3, he needs to get that Return of the King
Yeah, I
award.
agree. Yeah, 100%.
He really does. I mean, the Dune films are astonishing examples of
By the way,
versatility.
somebody in the live chat said, I got to address it, said, we don't want an award-winning Bond film. We want a fun Bond film.
That would.
Oh,
what?
I get it. You're one of those people that don't understand it can be both.
It should be both.
It should be both, and it can be both. 100%. Like, I think, did Django not get a Best Picture nomination? I thought Django did. I could be wrong about that. I know it got several Academy Award nominations, but I think you got, like, you can be both. You can be a fun, globe-trotting spy adventure and have other elements to it as well that give it that depth that it can be an award-winning film at the same time.
Yeah, for me, it's a genre thing more than anything else. It's the kind of story. Look, for me, it'd be a stretch, but you know what? If they did have a James Bond story that was worthy of Best Picture, it'd be a hell of a Bond film. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And that's
All right.
all I want to see.
What's next?
Okay, what's next is Rob, the penultimate here. Is this an overreaction when Ferris Syndicate says Avatar Fire and Ash is a guaranteed $2 billion?
Hell no, that's not an overreaction. God damn. It's going to make over $2 billion. What are you talking about? Mordor Na'vi? We saw in 3D at CinemaCon. It was kind of disjointed. Look at those trailers. I mean, come on. I want to see that shit. So do you. So does everybody. This movie's going to kick ass. It's going to make all the money. It's going to make at least over $2 billion. I promise you that.
It is absolutely an overreaction.
No.
And I'll tell you why. You use the word guaranteed. Here's the reality. The reality, first of all, Avatar: The Way of Water made less than the first Avatar film. Made $2.3 billion. I mean, it's one of the highest grossing films of all time, but it made less. And today, fewer people are going to the movies today than went when Avatar: The Way of Water was out. Look.
Why you gotta be such a pessimist?
Look, do I think Fire and Ash can be one of the rarest movies of all time and join that $2 billion club? How many members are in there now? 6? 6. Maybe 7, but I think it's 6. 6 members of the $2 billion club. Actually, I'm going to go, I got to look it up here. Let me see if I can find
Your
what it is.
opinion has no dominion.
Has no dominion here. So here we go. Worldwide, so Avatar, that's number 1 at 2.9 billion. Avengers Endgame at 2.8 billion. Avatar: The Way of Water 2.3.
7.
7 films have joined the 2
Well,
billion. Well, really 6,
yeah, 6,
because
'cause-
one's a complete fraud.
Yeah.
But 6 films, 6 members of the $2 billion club. 6.
So that's 33% are Avatar movies.
Yeah. That makes and half of them are James Cameron movies.
And all of them are Disney movies.
And all of them are Disney films. But again, it made 600 million less than the first one. And now you combine that with the fact that there are fewer people going to the movies today to draw on. I just can't say, you can't say it's a guaranteed $2 billion.
Well, yeah, the word guaranteed.
That's the thing that's throwing me off here. If it was if the overreaction statement was Avatar: Way of Water can make $2 billion, I would say not an overreaction at all. But to say it is guaranteed to make $2 billion, I can't do that. So
I guess my guarantee
All
has no
right.
dominion here either.
All right, what's next?
Wouldn't it be good if it
Okay,
did?
here's our last one. John, is this an overreaction when we hear from Team Caboozles, Sinners, Oscar chances are dwindling with all the fall and winter releases taking up the conversation?
That's not an overreaction. Now, dwindling, not erasing. All right. I still fully expect that Sinners is going to get a Best Picture nomination. I still fully expect that Ryan Coogler will get a Best Director nomination. I do. But this is why early in the year, like when we're in a June or a May or something like that, and a movie comes out, I say, this one's guaranteed to win this or that. And I always say, guys, it's really early in the year yet. We haven't seen what's coming. And you know what? Even right now, we still haven't seen, what's the Bruce Springsteen one? Something from Nowhere. Deliver Me from Nowhere.
Which opens this week.
Which, by the way, one of my friends who is a longtime respected film critic in this business just called it. He said easily the best film of the year.
Huh. That's
is the new
surprising
Bruce
for a
Springsteen
biopic.
one. Yeah, for a biopic. Anyway, we still have to get Marty Supreme, which we've heard a number of other people say this is not just the best movie of the year. This might be the best movie in years. We just had One Battle After Another come out recently. So like when Sinners first came out and it dominated that conversation about it's going to win this and it's going to win this, it's going to win this. And we said, like, guys, like pump the brakes a little bit. We've got a lot of the other major contenders to come out. So it is not surprising at all to say that, yeah, that dominance in the conversation is dwindling. I still think it's going to get a bunch of nominations, but yeah, it's not an overreaction to say that. Rob, what do you think?
I agree with you. I mean, but are you talking about, I think it can still win a lot of Oscars. Cinematography's got to be nominated for music, especially. If we're talking Best Picture, yeah, of course. But I do think that it's got a lot of potential. It's still a wonderful movie. I find myself drawn to it over and over again.
You know what? I can't believe I'm saying this. I don't think I've ever said this in my life. One of the more interesting races at the Academy Awards this next year is going to be in the music category, not score, but the music of Sinners and the music of K-pop Demon Hunters. It's going to be, I've never cared about that race, but now with those two, that's going to be interesting.
Which means it's going to be the first time we're going to be looking forward to a big musical number at the Oscars.
Could be.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that will wrap up this installment of Overreaction. Thank you to everybody who submitted their hot takes, and keep your guys' eyes open for when we do the next one. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on and talk about this, shall we? You know, we mentioned a little bit earlier in the show that Stranger Things Season 5 is going to have its finale theatrically released. Amazing. But I can tell you one thing you will not see in Season 5 or its finale, either at home on TV or in the theater. Joseph Quinn as Eddie. You ain't going to see him. There have been some rumors and speculations, some fueled by Joseph Quinn himself, that maybe there's a possibility we may see justice for Eddie. And Eddie comes back, wailing on his guitar. But according to this article in Deadline, the Duffer Brothers confirm that Joseph Quinn will indeed not appear in the Stranger Things Season 5. He is fully under that ground. I like that they said that.
Doesn't that mean you're in the underneath?
Well, maybe.
Well,
They
he is
write
there.
in Deadline, as the long-awaited release of Stranger Things Season 5 approaches, creators Matt Duffer and Ross Duffer are bursting some fans' bubbles regarding the return of fan-favorite character Eddie Munson, played by Season 4 breakout Joseph Quinn, which really did launch this guy into the stratosphere of a career, whose time on the show was short-lived. Heavy metal rocker and Hellfire Club leader catapulted him into franchise entries like the Fantastic Four, First Steps, and the high-profile projects such as Sam Mendes' quartet of Beatles films. And by the way, he was in that Quiet Place movie as well. The Duffer Brothers maintain that the character is beyond even the Upside Down. I love that Joe Quinn is toying with people, but no, he's dead, Matt Duffer told Empire in a new interview. Joe is so busy anyway that everyone should know he's not coming back. He's shot like 5 movies since. When the hell has he got time to come and shoot Stranger Things? No, sadly, R.I.P. He's fully under that ground. All right. You know, one of my, as big of a fan as I am of the MCU, one of my big criticisms of the MCU over the years has been the Marvel fake death universe. I don't like fake deaths. They're just overused and all that kind of stuff. But I think the Duffer Brothers could have been forgiven if they went, hey, listen, we never planned on using Eddie Munson in season 5. We never planned on that. But oh my God, we were not expecting the popularity of the character from that season 4. We weren't prepared for how big he would become for everybody. And damn it, let's find a way to put him in season 5. I don't think they could have been faulted for that if they decided to do that. I really don't. It would kind of make sense. But I respect that they're not. I respect it. The character had a storyline. That storyline ended with a big heroic sacrifice. And now they're going to leave it be. And I think the other thing there is true. You know, the way that the Duffers are saying it, it almost sounds like maybe they might have talked to him about it. And he's just like, I don't know when I'd be able to do it. Because remember, they shot Stranger Things a while ago. Probably back when he was shooting things like Fantastic Four and whatnot. So I get it. I think a lot of people will be disappointed because he is such a fan favorite, but I respect the move. Anyway, Rob, what do you make of this?
Well, I mean, I think that, look, he was introduced in season 4. Clearly, it was scripted that he would sacrifice himself and die in a cool way. So it would not surprise me at all. It doesn't surprise me at all that he's a one and done character. The fact that he became as breakout a character as he did, and not only that, became a desirable leading man for Hollywood movies, is a testament to his ability as an actor and his ability to command the screen. So I will tend to believe what they're saying. I believe the Duffer Brothers. However, we do live in a world where people are going, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if you have a post-credit scene or something at the end where you see Barb and him in heaven together. I don't know. He's shredding the guitar and she's still alive somewhere in the afterlife. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they did something like that because he's become such a fan favorite. But I will believe them until I know otherwise. You know, look, I love that character. He was awesome.
He was a great character.
But I mean, like you said, fake death. It's better that leave him be. They told a great. He had a great arc in season 4. There's no reason to bring him back.
By the way, I know it's a running joke, but let's be serious about it for a second, okay? The moment he showed up in Stranger Things season 4, I know a hell of a lot of you went, holy crap, that dude is a young Robert Downey Jr. Now, I know he's Johnny Storm, but if they did want to recast Iron Man in the MCU, why not just say he's a younger Tony? I just throw it out there.
After Avengers Secret Wars, they could do that very thing.
Anything could happen. Anything could happen. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this and this decision that no, Eddie is not coming back? Do you think it's the right decision? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to this. Some of the most fascinating stories in the world of movies and Hollywood are the things that never happened. For example, of course, one of the most famous ones, Tom Selleck was supposed to be Indiana Jones. Never happened. Will Smith was supposed to be Neo in The Matrix. Never happened. It's the little things that never. Peter Jackson was supposed to produce a Halo feature film. Never happened. Well, here's one that never happened that I didn't know about until just the other day. When actually, Rob, you were the first one to send me the link to this. But Adam Driver, a phenomenal actor, who of course played Kylo Ren in the recent Star Wars films. He's now come out and revealed that he and Steven Soderbergh put together a Kylo Ren sequel that would take place after the events of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, a movie I never like to talk about. And again, you heard that right. Steven Soderbergh,
which is wild,
wrote and was going to direct. And it got shot down, even though Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy wanted to do it. This comes to us from Deadline, who write the following. This is Adam Driver talking. I always was interested in doing another Star Wars, Driver said in an interview with AP. I had been talking about doing another one since 2021. Kathleen Kennedy had reached out. I always said, with a great director and a great story, I'd be there in a second. I love that character and I love playing him. Driver detailed a concept for the film, which Steven Soderbergh wrote a script for, which the actor says was one of the coolest effing scripts I had ever been a part of. We presented the script to Lucasfilm. They loved the idea. They totally understood our angle and why we were doing it, Driver said. So we took it to Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, and they said no. They didn't see how Ben Solo was alive, and that was that. All right. There's actually a couple of really interesting nuggets in this that I don't think people are paying attention to on the surface. And we'll get to that in a second. Let me talk in a macro sense for a minute. Big picture. Big picture, my first thought is, that could have been cool. Steven Soderbergh wrote it. Adam Driver saying it's one of the coolest scripts I've ever read, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, Kylo Ren was done. I'm at the same time, I don't think you do anything that is even remotely called a sequel to Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I just think they needed, with the damage that movie did, I think it was probably the right decision to let it go. Like, even if they had a great idea for it, you let it go. And so on the one hand, do I want to get my hands on this script and read it? I absolutely do.
Yeah, me too.
But
Top
I got to say, if I'm a studio head coming out of what those Star Wars films are and Kylo, listen, I said the same thing about Rey. I like the Rey character. I do. And I love Daisy Ridley, but I do not think they should be making a Rey movie. And I feel the exact same way about Kylo Ren. I love Adam Driver. I think Kylo is a potentially really interesting character. There are cool things you can do with him. Absolutely. I think it was going to be called The Search for Ben Solo. I think they said was going to be the title of it. But you have to let it go. And so I kind of feel that way. But Rob, here's the thing that really caught my attention that I don't see anybody talking about. When the folks at Pixar have a film they want to do, Pixar has their budget. They know what they can spend every year, and they have a head of their studio. They're under Disney, yes. And what's his name? Peter Docter, is that his name, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter Docter, head of Pixar. When he has a movie he wants to do, he does not have to go and get Bob Iger's permission to do it. Bob Iger does not deal with the minutia of all 20 of his departments. He runs the overall company. He runs the ship. Now, maybe conversations with Alan Bergman have to happen. Alan Bergman, who has Alan Horn's old job of kind of being in charge of all the different movie studios. Maybe a conversation with Alan Bergman has to happen. But basically speaking, when Kevin Feige has his next Marvel film is going to do, he doesn't have to go and get Bob Iger's permission. He's in charge of the studio. Of course, Bob Iger can step in and put his foot down if he wanted to, but that's not how it works. Rob, it reads to me that both Iger and Alan Bergman are clearly cognizant of the mess that Lucasfilm is in. Because if this was any other of the Disney studios, and a pitch gets brought to the head of the studio, and the head of the studio loves it, and they like it, that movie gets made. But it sounds like, at least for a couple of years now, the operating procedure at Lucasfilm has been, Kathleen doesn't get to be the one to greenlight things. It doesn't say that in the article. I'm inferring it. It's implied. Because any other studio, when it's pitch got made, it's awesome. We have our budget. We know what we can spend on movies every year. Let's do it. And that would have been it. The very fact that Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh then had to go to Bob Iger to get him to sign off on it, that to me says not only is Lucasfilm in a state of absolute dysfunction, which is what we've all been very aware of for a very long time, it sounds also like the studio as a whole understands it as well, which again makes me absolutely befuddled on how is Kathleen Kennedy still there?
She's got them pictures.
She's got them pictures of Bob Iger at the donkey show. I have no idea. She's got to have some dirt on somebody, but it sounds like with all these things that Kathleen Kennedy announces and then they don't happen, is because like, it sounds like it all goes over her head now. Again, I'm inferring a lot here, Rob, from 2 lines in an article. I fully admit that 100%. But man, when I saw that, it's like no other studio does that have to happen. No other studio does that have to. Do Luke and Abdi have a film they want to make? They make the film. Unless it's going to be like a $400 million film. Well, then you probably got to go to Big Papa Dave. But I mean, this seemed really awkward to me. Anyway, Rob, 2 big things here. Number 1, a Steven Soderbergh Kylo Ren movie that was going to take place after The Rise of Skywalker. And number 2, am I reading too much into this? Like this thing that they then had to go take it to Bob Iger and Alan Bergman. I don't know. What do you make of all this?
I think this story is a bit odd for a number of reasons. And the most reason is what you're talking about. I think that was given as an excuse to Adam Driver and to Steven Soderbergh about why the movie didn't get made. It's easy to blame it on Bob Iger. It's easy to say that. But first of all, think about what we're talking about here. Steven Soderbergh made Aaron Brockovich, made Traffic, made the Ocean's 11. Steven, even as an indie filmmaker, Kafka, where is that on video? He made Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Yeah. Steven Soderbergh is made the TV series The Knick, is one of our most accomplished working directors today. He made the beautiful Contagion when Gwyneth Paltrow's face got taken. I love that movie.
I love Contagion. That movie's
so good. It's so good.
Man.
I mean, he made all of these movies. So him alone, he actually sat down and wrote a script, a finished Star Wars script.
Star Wars
script. I mean, that's what Adam Driver's saying. And let's give him the benefit of the doubt. And walks in to, I think that's a political situation where you go in with Adam Driver. And how do you say no? Like, this is big news. This would have been huge. I don't think anyone has directed a Star Wars movie that has the pedigree that Steven Soderbergh has. I mean, J.J. Abrams certainly doesn't. Rian Johnson certainly didn't at the time, and it's like you've got one of the world's great filmmakers who's wrote a Star Wars script on spec. I mean, that's insane. And then they walk in and you've got a lead actor. That there's a lot of questions I have with that, but let's just assume it's correct. The quickest way you put the kibosh on that is to just say Big Papa Bob Iger said no. To stay away from the political, that's a political hot potato that you don't want to get involved in. You don't want the studio to say no to Steven Soderbergh. You don't want, like you just don't want to do that. So the easiest way, because why would you make a movie where you brought back Emperor Palpatine?
Well, they shouldn't have.
Exactly.
And
but
I think that's the lesson they learned.
If you started this Ben Solo movie and you began with him being trained by Luke, old Luke, so you could bring Mark Hamill back, I could see whatever the script is could be awesome. And it could be it would at least be something that they should consider. And the idea of saying, oh, we got to get rid of Ben Solo. Lots of people come back from the dead. You made a Han Solo movie and he died. So, who knows what was in the contents of that thing. And you could, with the Force Ghosts and all that, I think it was assuming it happened and all the way Adam Driver described it, I think this was a political hot potato that they just didn't want to deal with. And it was a situation, the easiest thing to say is blame it on Bob. He probably said, I've read the script, just blame it on me. No.
I mean, apparently, Adam went directly to Bob Iger.
I have questions about that.
I think the scenario you're setting up, though, is also the explanation. They did the Han Solo thing. Yeah, they did the Han Solo thing, and look how that turned out. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to bet dollars to dimes on this. If Adam Driver, as a producer, not as the actor, if Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh had walked into Bob Iger's office with a Star Wars script, say likened unto Starfighter, something totally removed, from The Rise of Skywalker, something totally removed from Rey and Kylo and all that kind of stuff. I will bet you money that if they walked into Bob Iger's office with that, like some fresh new Star Wars idea, I bet we're talking about this new movie that's coming in 2028. I honestly think the only reason they shoot that down is because, guys, we need to move past this stuff that we did with JJ and all. We need to move past it. It's too divisive with our fan base. That character died, which really is why I don't think the Rey movie's ever going to happen. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but that's my guess. But I think if this had been a Steven Soderbergh Star Wars pitch about anything else, I think we're talking about the next Star Wars movie being a Steven Soderbergh movie.
I just want to know if that script really exists. And I was one of the first people to break the Duel of the Fates script.
Yes, you were.
So if you want to send something to my email box, I'll keep your identity confidential.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, Adam Driver is saying that he and Steven Soderbergh got a script for a Kylo Ren movie. I mean, yeah, there's a part of me that would really like to see that, but at the same time, it's not one I think they should do. I think they need to move beyond it. What do you think was behind all this? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, I remember the news dropped like a comet from the sky that Paramount was looking to put together a bid to buy Warner Brothers. And boy, did that get everybody talking. Turns out it was totally true. We found out, of course, recently through an article in the Wall Street Journal that Paramount did indeed very quietly send an offer to Warner Brothers and that Warner Brothers turned it down. Well, it ain't over. Because we said at the time, you guys remember we talked about this on the show. There could be one of three reasons they turned it down. Number one, they think Paramount can do better. Give us a better offer than that one, buddy. Number two, they want to start a bidding war and have what happened to 20th Century when Comcast and Disney started fighting over it and drove up the price. Want to do that. Or number three, they want to follow through with their plan to split the company in two with all their television and networks over here and the movie studio and HBO Max over here because they think they can get much more value by selling them off separately. Well, according to a new article in Variety, guys, it is not a matter of if Warner Brothers is going to be sold now. I think we all need to accept the fact that Warner Brothers is going to get sold. It's only a question of in what form will it get sold. This comes us from Variety, talking about David Zaslav, talking to the folks in the staff at Warner Bros., saying, Warner Brothers Discovery continues to advance its previously announced separation of Warner Brothers and Discovery Global, currently targeted to be completed by April 2026. At the same time, the board announced it has initiated a review of strategic alternatives to maximize shareholder value. Through this process, the Warner Brothers Discovery Board will evaluate a broad range of strategic options, which include the sale of the entire company or separate transactions for its Warner Brothers and or global business, it said. Notice they didn't mention a third option of just keeping it. It's either selling the whole thing or selling the individual parts. Further on in the article, David Zaslav talks about the fact that, we are now talking to multiple parties. We now have multiple parties that are inquiring about purchasing. Rob, I said this on the show the other day. I don't know if you were on this one with me or not. It might have been during an open mic that I said it. But I said, if you try to sell Warner Brothers altogether as it is right now, you are excluding potential suitors because I don't think Apple TV Plus or Apple has any interest in buying TNT, TBS, all the television networks, all that stuff. I don't think they have any interest in it. I don't think Netflix has any interest in that. I don't think Amazon has any interest in that. But you follow through with your plan and split the company in half. So you have two individual companies. Now you've got this one company all by itself. That's Warner Brothers Studios and HBO Max. Now Apple becomes interested. Now Amazon becomes interested. Now Universal becomes interested. Now Disney potentially becomes interested. Now you've got an item here that is worth way more. And Rob, I proposed that if you could sell, I'm just making up a number, if you sold Warner Brothers as a whole for $10 billion, obviously it'd be more than that, I'm just saying, but for $10 billion, you could sell Warner Brothers and HBO Max and separately the network bundle stuff, probably combined for $15 billion. I think you get more money that way. So it sounds to me like while they're still looking into the idea of selling it all as one big piece, because I'm sure there will be a couple of suitors for it, I think they're going to follow through with their plan to split the company first and then sell off the individual things. But Rob, to me now, it doesn't even sound like a question now. Like this to me sounds like it's an inevitability. Warner Brothers is going to get sold. It's just a matter in what form, when, and to who. So anyway, Rob, you read this article. What are you taking away from it?
Well, I feel the way you do. I think that, look, it would be a shame. Warner Brothers, first of all, has gone through AT&T and Discovery in not that many years. And I'll give you one example. There's a person who works at Warner Brothers named George Feltenstein. I like to call him the film czar. He should be the film czar of the entire world. He runs the Warner Archive division of Warner Brothers, and they have their physical release. But what he's in charge of is doing the restoration of basically the entire catalog of the MGM titles Warner Brothers owns and Warner Brothers, their entire cinematic history. And he and his team have been doing incredible restorations, and they're taking the entire Warner Brothers and MGM library and giving it new life. When AT&T took over, they thought they had to get rid of him, which they did.
Yeah.
And then they realized he's the one man that knows more than anyone else on planet Earth about their entire cinematic legacy. So again, he was unofficially brought back and then, of course, brought back under Discovery. And he's been doing amazing work. Now, once again, he's just one Warner Brothers employee. Now, listening to this, it's like, oh, great. Is he going to lose his job yet again? He has more institutional knowledge about movies than anybody else currently working in Hollywood or anywhere else in the world. And he's working with other companies all across the planet. And now he has to worry about his job. He is an invaluable resource in the motion picture industry as they're getting rid of all these
Man,
old-timers.
you are off on a sidetrack. Like,
No, but what I'm saying, that's only one employee.
Right.
And what I'm saying is now Warner Brothers, all the people that are working there that have all of this institutional knowledge have to wonder again for the third time in 5 years, do we lose our jobs? They are Warner Brothers. And the thing about Warner Brothers is what makes it so valuable as a company is their cinematic legacy and all of their catalog and everything that HBO has made. That's my point that I'm making. And the thing is, if somebody buys them, if Apple buys them, it's great because they'll leave everybody in place. Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca have been executives in the business for 30 years. Do you want to lose them? No. Do you want to lose James Gunn and Peter Safran? Peter Safran, who doesn't just control DC, but also just made one of the most expensive, one of the biggest grossing movies of the year with The Conjuring Last Rites. You have people in place at Warner Brothers that now suddenly have to worry about, well, is everything we built, is it going to be swept away? So you've got a great studio of great people that are cooking, that are really working. And now, once again, they have to be put in a position for the third time in 5 years. Well, is it all going to go away? This is not the way to run a business. And I understand what Discovery is doing, but I think you're right. You cut Warner Brothers aside. You make Warner Brothers and HBO what you're looking at. Apple should buy them. Apple just teamed up with them to release F1.
Yep.
They did very, very well. Apple will leave that place intact. It's not going to be like Skydance is going to fire 2,000 people. You know, we have to do that because of their debt and everything. I get it. But to do this to Warner Brothers again, I hate the idea of it going away. But if somebody buys it and keeps it intact, then it's not like Gordon Gekko going, it's because it's wreckable. You know, but we love, Endicott Steel loves Blue Star Airlines. I mean, you can't wreck. The thing is, it's just wreck these great American companies. Warner Brothers needs to stay intact. The business needs it, especially you're trying to bring production back to LA. Look at all the sound stages on the Warner Brothers lot. They still have the best sound stages in the state. You want to keep that place working, man. I'm sorry. I used to work there. I'm passionate about Warner Brothers.
I guess there's a couple of things that come to mind for me. Number one, no matter who buys it, there are going to be some people that lose their gigs because of redundancy, right?
I know.
I mean, so that we see that happen with not just.
But Apple doesn't have that problem.
Not to the degree. I mean, I think it'll be minimal. I think there will be some arbitrage, but I think it'll be minimal. I think the same thing would be true, say, if Amazon took it over, because both Amazon and Apple are getting more serious about wanting to move into that direction. I think, if a studio took it, like let's say a Paramount, a Disney, a Universal, whatever, I think there would be more overlapping redundancy, but that may or may not be like all that bad for Warner Brothers as a whole, depending on what happens. I think, when you look at this thing as a whole, and here's the important thing too. I think it's inevitable it sells, but the Warner Brothers that's going to get sold right now is a much healthier Warner Brothers than the one that AT&T sold.
Yes.
Because when AT&T sold it, that thing was in a death spiral. I mean, if it wasn't for Discovery coming along taking it, I don't think Warner Brothers would exist today. I really don't. So you're getting a much healthier Warner Brothers today. Just set the all-time Hollywood record, most films opening to over $40 million and all that kind of stuff. So they're in a much better place than they were before. So it's going to be about, Paramount is not my top choice to take them. I really hope it's somebody else. I mean, I think Apple would be a magnificent partnership for them. I think Amazon would be a nice thing there because Amazon has done a lot for MGM to keep them going and stuff like that.
And Amazon has Sue Kroll and Courtney Villani, who came from Warner Brothers.
Yeah. And again, we talked the other week about the fact that Warner Brothers and David Zaslav just upped DeLuca and Abdi with their deals. And we said that we think not only is it just to reward them for a job well done, we said on this show, and this was weeks ago, we said, we think they gave them that extended deal to, number one, give them job security because their contracts are going to have to be honored no matter who buys the company. But number two, it makes Warner Brothers more attractive because let's say Apple's thinking about buying them. Oh, we've got DeLuca and Abdi under contract? Awesome. That just makes it more attractive to purchase. So,
same with DC Studios, whatever you want to say, their upcoming slate. There's a plan there, a 10-year plan.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, DC at Warner Brothers was dead. It was dead. We were getting movies that weren't even making $200 million at the box office. It's alive again. So, I mean, it's...
And what New Line, their division, $1.2 billion this year?
Yes.
New Line's another division of Warner Brothers is cooking with gas. Why would you want to screw that up?
Well, again, so that I think just paints the picture of this is a Warner Brothers that today is a much healthier company than it was when AT&T sold them. And I mean, they might be able to do something with it. Again, it's all going to be about the who and the whens. So, Rob, let me ask you this. I believe, this is just me speculating, I believe what will happen is that we will not hear of any sale imminently. I think Warner Brothers will stay autonomous, and then in early 2026, will follow through with their plan to split the company in two. And then before the ink is dry on that, we'll hear about somebody else putting in bids to buy it. But I think they're going to split the company before they sell it. What do you think?
I think so too. Look, this process, this didn't just come out of nowhere. This has been going on for a long time. And like you said, I think by the contracts for Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca was a way of David Zaslav shoring up the value of the company.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's doing other things. I mean, Warner Brothers partnering up with Apple for F1 doesn't look so far-fetched now, because then Apple did something with A24. But both the worldwide release of F1 and the physical media release worldwide of F1 has done quite well for the company. So, maybe all of these things. Remember, when we hear about things, we hear about them way down the line. These things have been happening in boardrooms, and they've been whispered about on clandestine FaceTime calls for a long time. And so I think that it's kind of known what's going to happen because publicly held companies are not making decisions willy-nilly overnight. These are things that have to be protected because David Zaslav wants to move on. And let's face it, that's why they bought the company in the first place, to sell it. You can talk about how David Zaslav went around and tried to learn everything he could about Hollywood, but he's a businessman. It ain't show friends. And this could be very lucrative for him. And I'm sure if he takes Discovery and his company that he went into Warner Brothers with and he comes out with a nice chunk of change, he's done his job too.
Well, remember, David Zaslav does not own it.
No, I
He's
understand.
CEO, yeah.
But I mean, he's
Yeah.
the mover and shaker that he is.
I'm going to throw this out here too.
The shareholders own it.
Yeah, the shareholders own it. I'm going to throw this out here because I'd be remiss if I didn't. I've already stated my preference here is to be an Apple, an Amazon, something like that. There is an interesting possibility that exists out there. Let's travel into the universe of what if. What if Disney bought it? Here's my question. I'm assuming that the studio in HBO Max, I'm assuming that means the other studios, which would mean DC as well. What if Disney bought it and now was in control of Marvel and DC? The fanboy wet dream that I don't want. I think it's ridiculous, but for a lot of my fellow film fans, it has been a wet dream to have an Avengers versus Justice League, Superman and Hulk teaming up, whatever. I mean, that does present some interesting possibilities for existing that I don't want to have happen. I want to have multiple companies owning comic book movies. I don't want the entire comic book genre to be a monopoly under one thing.
Especially because Disney has an agenda in terms of they need to have family-friendly stories where Warner Brothers isn't constrained by that.
Well, Disney's been getting further and further away from their family friendliness too. But I mean, it does present an interesting scenario of that happening. And for the record, I still think they haven't balanced their checkbooks from buying Fox or from buying 20th Century. So I don't think it'll happen. But I don't know. You hear over the newswire tomorrow that Disney's put in a bid for the studio. What do you think?
I mean, look, again, it's a lot of money to lay out. And to be honest, I don't like what I think Disney has really shortchanged what they did with Fox. I mean, thank God you've got Steve Asbell, who's the president, or one of the presidents of 20th Century Studios, the quiet king of franchises, as I like to call him, making sure we got a cool Predator movie coming out, making sure that we've got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, making sure that Alien Romulus got made. I mean, hell, their physical media was dead until, I hate to admit this, but I just got Sound of Music in 4K. But that's because Steve Asbell has decided, why haven't we delved into our catalog and start remastering our great movies? And they have not maximized with Fox what they should have. And I think that's problematic. And if they consumed Warner Brothers, it would be the same thing. But you know what? One of my favorite movies, All That Jazz, was a Columbia Pictures 20th Century Fox co-production. There's no reason why Disney couldn't get together with Warner Brothers and make a Justice League versus Avengers
Never
movie.
happened. Never.
They could do it. They could make.
I'll tell you why they couldn't do it. It's not, of course, anybody can make a deal to do anything. Sure. But I've always said, number one, you'll never get past page one. You'll never get past page one. You know why? Because the reps for both sides want their characters to be the ones that shine. No. Superman doesn't punch Hulk in the face. Hulk punches Superman in the face. Every conflict would end in a tie. It would be a 5-year-long legal battle about which heroes get the better lines to say. It would never happen. Not because it couldn't theoretically happen, but it's because you would never be able to get them on the same page.
Yeah, I understand that, but there is history. There's comic book history. You could take, Teen Titans versus X-Men. You could take Justice League versus Avengers and go here it is right here. This is what we want to do.
Yep, and you paid one writer and one artist to draw it and print it on some paper. It's a different thing when you're having to put $300 million behind it, and I just don't think it would ever happen. But interesting possibilities do abound right now, though. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It sounds now like it's not an if, it's a when.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers is going to get sold here. The only question is to who, when's it going to happen, and will it be as one big package, or will they still go through with their plans to split the company in half first and then sell off the individual pieces? Do you have a potential favorite that you'd like to see be the one to come in and take it over? Do you have a couple you really don't want to see take it over? For me, Disney is one of them. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that all down, we got to do two things here before we get to your questions. First, we got to bid good afternoon To writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett, great job as always, my friend.
Well,
Good having you here.
This is a rousing show, John. I enjoyed myself. Thank you very much.
And I will talk to you tomorrow.
You will.
And the other thing we need to do here before getting to your live questions is we're going to take a second and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at Zapier. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Zapier. You know, one of the biggest game changers of the past year has been AI. But let's be real, just talking about AI doesn't actually make your day any more productive. What does make it more productive is finding tools to put AI to work for you. And that's where Zapier comes in. Zapier is the easiest way to take AI and plug it directly into the apps and processes that you're already using every day. No IT bottlenecks, no complexity, just results. For me, it's been about saving time on repetitive stuff so I can focus on the work that matters and I actually enjoy. And it's not just me. Over 3.4 million companies are already using Zapier to streamline everything from sales and marketing to IT and HR. With their AI orchestration platform, you can connect top AI models like ChatGPT or Claude right into the apps you already use. So whether it's automatically enriching leads, coaching your sales team, or even resolving IT tickets, Zapier makes it simple. Guys, join the 3.4 million companies already automating with Zapier and transform how you work with Zapier and AI. Get started for free by visiting zapier.com/Campea. That's zapier.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Zapier for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
First up, friend of the show, you should talk with the Lanterns Live YouTube show podcast about what they posted, and WB required them to take down about the Lantern show and the cast hat that we talked about yesterday. The Green Arrow lead seems to be close to the target.
Because I don't know that that's actually a legitimate thing. I mean, I know it was reported that somebody put up a video and the studio told them to take it down. And by the way, I'm not sitting here telling you that's not true. I don't know. I'm just telling you that it sounds questionable to me because the studios don't have a real way of knowing those things are even up until it starts to spread and gets popular and then gets on the studio's radar and then they send a takedown thing. But as far as I know, nobody saw this alleged video. Again, I'm not saying it's not real. I haven't looked into the situation well enough, but I'm not going to talk about something that has potential of not even being a real thing. Anyway, what's up?
Celia, two-parter says, "Hey, John and crew, my husband's a huge fan. He's been watching you forever and always talks about how much he loves your show. You really inspire him and he hopes to be like you one day.
Oh, wow.
We're expecting our first baby in January, so hopefully you come to Dallas before I pop. He'd freak out if you gave him a shout out and sent him some birthday wishes."
Well, of course, happy birthday to your husband. That's amazing. And I can tell you, I shouldn't tell you this yet, but I should tell you. The movie meetups are coming to Dallas in November. We settled on the list of cities. I'm not going to announce all the cities today, but for our November stretch, Dallas is one of the cities we're going to be stopping in. That'll be in mid to late November. So yeah, we will be coming to Dallas and hopefully I'll get a chance to meet your husband. All right. What's next?
We got Eddie Burton. With the critical and financial failure of both chapters of the Strangers movies, does Lionsgate pull the plug on a theatrical release for chapter 3 and just sell it to a streamer at this point?
I still have no idea why they did it too.
I don't either.
The first one was a complete abject failure. It was a terrible movie and nobody wanted to go see it. I was dumbfounded when they told us at CinemaCon that they're still going. Like, I know the original plan was to do 2. I knew that, but it's like, it was also obvious, well, they're obviously not going to do the next. I have no idea what they were thinking about doing the next one. Like, I really wish the heads of that studio had given me a call and said, "Hey, John, do you think we should move ahead with The Strangers 2?" And I would say, no, you should not. And you should really listen to me on that. So I want to say that there's no way they do 3, but I would have told you there was no way they were going to do 2 either. And here we are. All right, what's next?
All right, thank you, man. Says one of my favorite things about the show is the genuine love for the respectful fans. You usually do a great job thanking people for larger tips, but I noticed you missed a couple yesterday. I did, and I feel bad about that. Person that said they met you and had to leave early tip 20, and the person who mentioned Kiss was 50. And I went back and I was like, dang it, man! I usually call those out. I feel so bad.
But first, let me say this. If you're going to send in questions about movie topics that everybody can enjoy listening to and watching, if you have little gripes like that, and I'm not saying you're incorrect, but if you're just writing in little gripes, just email those in or leave them in a comment. Don't waste our audience's time in talking about that. Again, you're not wrong. And I did point out to Jonathan yesterday when the show was done, I pointed out to Jonathan, and Jonathan was like, oh yeah, there it is. And I picked up on that. But like little, like inside the mechanic stuff like that, just write them directly to us. Don't put them in tips like that, because this is meant to be the audience's time. Anyway. All right.
Adrian says, been watching since I was 15. I'm 26 now, and the wife and I paid off 42 grand in debt.
Oh my God.
In 18 months with 2 kids. Thanks for being there in the early mornings and late nights, talking movies and life. Congratulations.
One of the really crazy things, about the movie meetups is how many people I have met that like are there with their spouses and children, and they're like, I started watching you my junior year of high school. Like that has been an absolute wild part of the whole movie meetup experience for us. It's been absolutely nuts. So anyway, thank you for sharing that, man. I really do appreciate it.
All right,
what's next?
We got Matanu says, Disney, this is about Soderbergh. Disney turning down Steven Soderbergh's Star Wars pitch is proving that Andor fans are right that Disney isn't interested in doing something extraordinary. Only want to do the middling stuff like Obi-Wan, and doing a film with the director of Deadpool 3 doesn't help. Well,
that's one of the most idiot things I've heard today.
He was so close. He was so close to the Soderbergh. But
not just that. It's like, you do realize they made Andor.
Right.
The only reason you're even referencing Andor is because they made Andor. And Sean is like seriously one of the great directors working today, man. You look at his filmography and the success that he's had and the pure entertainment value of, I think the last number of films he did, he did The Atom Project, which was way better than it should have been. And he did Free Guy, which was absolutely fantastic. Then he did Deadpool 3, which is a $1.3 billion smash hit that everybody loved. And then he did that really heavy drama, that World War II drama he did as well. And I'm forgetting the name of that one there too.
But let's not forget Real Steel, which for years I thought on the trailers, I was like, this isn't my kind of movie. And then I went and saw it.
Real Steel is so good.
Yeah.
And so tragically underrated. It's amazing. But again, it's this. You do understand the inherent fallacy of saying, we Andor fans say Star Wars only want to make that other kind of stuff. They made Andor.
Yeah, if they had skipped Andor as well, and we saw the script for it,
they fucking made Andor.
Yeah.
You can't say they don't want to make stuff like Andor. They did make Andor. They made 2 seasons of Andor.
And I agree with our discussion about the Soderbergh thing, because I really do feel we talk so much about, Rey. The Rey show is done. Like the Rey movie should be done. Rise of Skywalker should be left in the past. Well, this would be the same situation.
It's
now
the
you're just
exact same thing.
Yeah, move on.
It's not like I said to Rob during the show. I don't think it's that they turned down Steven Soderbergh.
Right. Anything else.
I guarantee you, if Steven Soderbergh had walked in that room with anything else in the Star Wars universe, other than something that would be perceived as a sequel to or a continuation of The Rise of Skywalker, guarantee you it would have gotten greenlit. 100% I guarantee it. But they should not be making more Rey stuff. They should not be making more Kylo Ren stuff. They should not be making more Poe Dameron stuff. They need to leave that behind and move on. But anyway. All right, what's next?
All right, here's our last of the tips here. Ready, Teddy, Seti. Hey, John, loved meeting you in Chicago, learning how small the world is with Anne. Do you think a WB sale changes plans at DC Studios?
No, I think as in anything else, and we've talked about this before, when other studios have sold and even when other companies get sold, it's you continue to do business as if you're there for the next 20 years. You keep running, you keep operating, you don't change your plans. Because listen, let's say Apple does come in. Just for argument's sake, let's say Apple comes in and is going to buy Warner Brothers. You don't want them to come in and say, all right, well, what do you got planned for the next 5 years? And they go, oh, well, we didn't plan past the next 6 months because, somebody's coming in. That's not doing your job. When the new owners come in, you want to be able to show them, hey, we got all this. This is all ready to go. We're set. So yeah, it won't have any impact on it. Now, there could be impact after there's a new owner there, depending on what the owners want to do, but no, it's not going to have any impact on their planning, their preparations, all that kind of stuff. It's business as usual until you're told it's not. And all right, guys, that'll wrap it up for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us fun, interesting things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. A big thanks again, of course, to Robert Meyer Burnett, to our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.